The Eagles just got a whole bunch of wild news for minicamp, none more unexpected than Howie Roseman's most recent move, as he signed a really underrated edge rusher to bolster the pass rush. However, it was Jalyx Hunt and Jonathan Greenard that turned heads at edge rusher during minicamp, and they weren't the only ones, as the star of the spring Tariq Woolen dominated once again, while Uar Bernard has everyone in Philadelphia believing, and Tank Bigsby apparently is looking way more explosive than before. Meanwhile, both Jurgens and Landon Dickerson are looking much healthier than before, but for Jalen Carter, it's still a mystery as to what's going on. Oh, and Jalen Hurts is already adapting to this new offense, which you can clearly see in some new videos. So, I mean, man, Eagles minicamp was unbelievable, so let's dive into all of it starting right now. Alright, so with all the craziness going on this week with Eagles minicamp, the last thing on my radar was for Howie Roseman to go out and make another big move, but I should know better than to ever let my guard down with Howie, because that's exactly what he did, as he struck when I least expected it and signed a rather big name for this late in the offseason, as Michael Jordan is now a Philadelphia Eagle. Alright, it's not that Michael Jordan. The guy that the Birds actually signed is an offensive guard, but that's not even the big move that I'm talking about, as in addition to that, Howie also signed a really underrated edge rusher to bolster the pass rush by adding a former Buffalo Bill in AJ Epenesa, and my instant reaction to that is, Howie did it once again, because we're talking about a guy who has 24 career sacks and comes in 15th all-time in Bills franchise history since being drafted in the second round in 2020, and he had a stretch from 2022 to 2024 where he had 6.5 sacks, 6.5 sacks again, and then 6 sacks respectively. Now last year in 2025, Epenesa only had 2.5 sacks, but he also had 2 interceptions, which by the way, he had 2 picks in 2023 as well, so he clearly has that ability to drop into coverage at edge rusher, which we know Vic Fangio loves, and also Epenesa was all sorts of banged up last year, dealing with pec, foot, and neck injuries along with a concussion, and the injuries are actually the reason that he was still available this late in the offseason, as he originally signed with the Browns back in March, but they then backed out of the deal when he failed his physical. But hey, it seems like he's good to go now, and the Eagles jumped all over this opportunity to get a guy that has produced at a high level in this league before, and now is hoping to have sort of a career resurgence. So, best case scenario, he's a great rotational edge rusher for this team and veteran addition, and worst case scenario, the Eagles simply cut him in training camp, and they lose absolutely nothing, which is why I give this signing an A for Howie Roseman. What else is new? That said, though, the Eagles were already pretty set at the edge rusher position, and a few guys in particular made that really clear during OTAs and minicamp. None more so than Jalyx Hunt, as the third-year edge rusher just keeps getting better and better and better as time goes on, and this spring, he's honestly been dominant, as he took over practice on Tuesday with an interception and a sack, and then on Wednesday, he earned the praises of the Birds' new lead edge rusher Jonathan Greenard, as the star veteran is very clearly impressed by the third-year man.
Jalyx is like a freak he's an athlete, and I think that's the part where when I seen him when we played, obviously last year he got a pick 6 on us in Minnesota. Well, that was pretty crazy, but he's an athlete, and how young he is, and where his game could really go is crazy. He's making certain pass rush moves. I'm like, man, this kid he is the athletic bend that you can't really teach. It's just natural for him. He has a natural feel for the game. And I mentioned the athlete, he obviously led the team in picks. So you see me had a pick yesterday. So it's just like him doing these things, it doesn't surprise me because I've always watched him when I was in Minnesota. I always watch everybody. But he's been as advertised, so I'm excited to see what he can do this year too, for sure.
Now, Greenard also had some really, really positive things to say about Nolan Smith too, which I don't want to just disregard, but at least for now, I do want to focus on Jalyx Hunt because, again, he's just had an unbelievable offseason, and all signs point to him having a huge year 3. I mean, he led the team in sacks and picks last year, and it's clear that he just keeps getting better, like I said. So, again, I'm expecting big things for Jalyx Hunt in 2026. Everything seems to be trending up there, and I'm also expecting big things for Jonathan Greenard as well. I mean, I've said it multiple times since the trade, but I think Greenard is going to lead the team in sacks this year. His pass rush bag is absolutely insane, and the numbers back that up, whether you want to look at his sack totals in 2023 and 2024, or just his pass rush win rate numbers and pressure percentages. Greenard is always around the quarterback. Now, with the Eagles so far, Greenard has not been able to do team drills during OTAs or minicamp, which he said that that's just a precautionary thing, as he's still coming back from a shoulder injury last year. So, not too worried about that, but haven't gotten to see his pass rush abilities on display yet in an Eagles uniform. What is clear, though, is that Greenard has come to Philadelphia and immediately fit right in with the defensive line.
It's just always cool. Like I said, my rookie year, I just am always eager to learn new information and to have somebody who's been successful in the league for a long time and is so confident in his style because he's put a lot of work into his moves and he's very confident in it, to learn a little bit of just about his process and his approach to the game has been invaluable information. So it's like I love having him in the room. Real cool dude. He fits right in. Able to joke around with him and everything. Like he's been here forever.
I could see both Greenard and Jalyx Hunt having 10-plus sacks this year. You know what? I could see Nolan Smith having over 10 sacks as well, and that's just the edge rushers. Like, I haven't even gotten to the rest of the defensive line yet. I mean, this really is a dream D-line that the Eagles have put together. You got those edge rushers, and then you also got a star defensive tackle trio of Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo, and then when healthy, the best of them all is obviously Jalen Carter. The thing with him, though, is we don't exactly know if he is healthy or not right now, as Carter has been at practice during mandatory minicamp, and he's participated in almost everything, that is with the exception of team drills. So, I think the natural assumption there is that Carter's just being held out of those team drills because he's still coming back from the shoulder injuries from last year, and, him missing team drills is more precautionary, like with Greenard. But some people have speculated that it could be for a different, much worse reason. That being that Carter maybe could be sitting out of team drills because of his current contract situation, as of course he's currently up for an extension, so with that still being up in the air, people have theorized that he could be sitting out just to make sure he doesn't get injured, or because he's trying to gain leverage in negotiations. Now, Nick Sirianni had a chance to shut down all these rumors before practice on Wednesday, but instead when he was asked why Carter is not taking part in team drills, he declined to really answer.
No, don't like that.
Look, I get why some people are questioning whether the reason Carter is sitting out is because of his contract, but that said, I think just after hearing that Jonathan Greenard is sitting out for precautionary reasons, also knowing that the Eagles tend to be cautious with their injuries, and also because all this talk about a contract dispute is really just speculation with no actual reporting behind it, I just think it's much more likely that Carter is not taking part in team drills for precautionary reasons. And John Clark agrees with that, as he echoed what I said in that the Eagles tend to be very cautious with injuries, and Carter's their best defensive player when healthy, so they just want to make sure he's good to go for camp in the season. That said, I could be wrong, and we'll definitely continue to monitor that situation, and if anything comes out, you guys know I'm going to cover it. But now, moving over from a superstar defensive tackle to a rookie one that's still just learning the game of football, and man, the hype around Uar Bernard just keeps on growing, and that's for very good reason, as Philly's rookie from the International Pathway program seems to be fitting in perfectly on the Eagles defensive line and in the locker room, and it also can't hurt that, as we all know, the guy's an absolute freak in nature.
Bro, he's a specimen. I think once he does put it together, and I've worked with him a little bit, the power in his hands already, just naturally without him coming out his hips and stuff like that. Once Coach Hurt continue to just develop that man, it's going to be a great sight to see. So I'm excited to see his development.
How do you like your teammates?
My teammates are family for me, so they are more like big brothers to me, so they make you feel home for me. Philly fans are amazing. The fact that I can't even go out without even taking pictures with the fans outside is amazing. So being there is like a dream come true to me because I've never experienced that before. Yeah, Coach Clint is a father to me, basically, yeah. So every advice he gave me and every advice given me every day have been helpful to me. But the coaching point, he's a great coach. He decided more like to adopt me as his son, so I love that. And he checks up on me every single day to make sure I'm good. Aside from learning the football thing, the football play and everything, he makes sure I'm good, but outside the building.
Are you having fun?
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
What's the most fun part of it?
My teammate. I love it here, so I want to grow every day. So I keep my focus in the building, keeping the main thing.
Seems like Uar Bernard has wasted absolutely no time integrating into the Eagles culture. To hear him say Jalen's signature quote made me happy in a way that I can't really explain. And also, I just absolutely love what he said about Coach Hurt, almost being like a father figure to him. I mean, Bernard actually lost his dad a few years ago, so for him to say that about Hurt is a very, very high honor. And it also just goes to show you how truly invested Coach Hurt is in Bernard. Like, he obviously vouched for the Eagles to take Bernard during the draft, and ever since the rookies got here, it's clear that the defensive line coach has poured absolutely everything that he possibly can into this rookie out of Nigeria. I mean, it's one thing to take on the challenge of coaching someone who's never played football before, but it's another to be consistently checking up on him every single day with football not even in mind. Like, that's a different kind of investment that goes beyond a coach and player relationship. So I absolutely love that. And it's also clear that Hurt truly does believe in Bernard, and he believes that he will become a good player, not just because of the insane physical tools, but also because of his mentality.
He's starting to get a good grasp of it. You know, he's humble. He's willing every time you talk to him about something about the game, he's literally locked in eye contact. He could be one of those guys like, okay, well, he actually gets frustrated himself because now he's starting to understand what's expected of him. And I think all we can ask for is the willingness and his humbleness to try to just continue to just grow as a player. Understand he doesn't have all the answers. You can have all the muscles, but you don't have all the answers.
How do you plan to spend the next 6 weeks between now and training camp?
Working hard, just trying to improve every day, getting in contact with my teammate, my coach, getting every detail lined up, just to see me improving. They didn't see the better version of me when the training camp began. Man. I hardly go out. I just focus on my playbook and my teammate. So coming into the building is fun for me.
I mean, I gotta say this. Like, I've always personally been optimistic about Uar Bernard since the Eagles drafted him. You know, I've always believed that there's a chance that he could become a good player if he's given enough time and enough good coaching. But now after hearing him actually talk and just hearing what his mentality's like, how locked in he is, like hearing stuff about his work ethic, like, I am much more confident that Bernard is going to pan out and eventually become a good player in this league. I mean, this guy's work ethic and mentality are absolutely insane. Like, he doesn't go out. All he cares about is learning the game of football, working hard, and getting better every single day. Like, that's all he was talking about during this press conference. He made it very clear that the only thing on his mind is growing every single day, learning the game of football, and eventually becoming a good football player. And again, the physical tools are clearly there. So if he keeps that same mentality and work ethic for the next 3 or so years, I 100% believe that Uar Bernard can become a good player. So drop a like down below if you guys believe too. Let's see if we can get to at least 500 likes today. Sticking with the defense though, and guess who the Eagles' most impressive defender was on the final day of mandatory minicamp? Yup, absolute shocker. It was the star of the offseason, Tariq Woolen. As the Birds' new cornerback has again been their most impressive player throughout this entire offseason so far, and he capped off his insane spring with his best day yet, as not only did he have a sack on Jalen Hurts in team drills, but he also picked off Hurts on a play where he had really good coverage on Dallas Goedert, and he undercut the route for the interception. Plus, he also blanketed Elijah Moore on another play to force an incompletion. So, I mean, man, like we've talked about Tariq Woolen all spring, but he's really been unbelievable since joining the Eagles. You know, everyone, whether it's his teammates, coaches, the fans, the media, everyone is impressed by what they've seen from the Birds' newest starting cornerback, and the secondary is about to be scary, man. Like, I cannot wait to watch it this year. Now, as for the linebacker core, Jahad Campbell did miss practice once again, as he has all spring long, so no surprise there, but luckily, the plan is for him to be ready to go for training camp, so not too concerned there. I'm definitely expecting big things from the second-year man out of Alabama this year as well. And then on offense, Markel Bell didn't practice, which that's new, while Devontae Smith was out for personal reasons. Don't worry, he's just getting married this weekend, so congrats to him, nothing to worry about there. And then, of course, Makai Lemon was also out with his hamstring injury, but he's going to be back by training camp as well. And also, speaking of injuries, we got to hear from center Cam Jurgens for the first time all offseason, after he basically was running around out there crippled last season, taking him from a true Pro Bowl, high-caliber center in 2024 to one of the worst in the game in 2025. But luckily, it seems like Beef Jerky has been rejuvenated, as he talked about his stem cell therapy that he got this offseason, and it seems like that, on top of the extra time that he got to just rest and recover this offseason, has him feeling much, much healthier than he was at this time last year.
To get stem cells? Yeah, I mean, when you go through a season, you get a lot of wear and tear, and that's kind of how the NFL is. And it's always tough going in, like after the Super Bowl, getting back surgery. And you don't really get that off season. That's always a tough thing when you get surgery. It's like you don't get an off season, you're just rehabbing, and then you're going right into the next season. And then you're trying to rehab, you're trying to get through things. But yeah, it's so nice to have a full off season like this year. But yeah, I play in the NFL, they pay me money. And so I'm going to do everything I can to get my body right. And, that's a great option for us. Talked to a lot of guys around the league, and so many people, have used stem cells. And, I've noticed, such a good change since I've been down there. I'm doing so many different things all over the place to, help my body and, just get in a good spot for this next season. So I can't pinpoint anything, but it's just, pain has gone down, daily living, quality of life is better. But that's what you expect from an offseason.
It really does sound like Cam is doing so much better right now than he was doing last year, and Elliott Shore-Parks even said that listening to Cam reminded him of listening to Jordan Davis last year, who at that point, he had finally gotten in great shape and was just happy and healthy. He was basically a new person, which led him to have a breakout season, and ESP said here that Jurgens seemed like a new person as well. So, we won't know until week 1 whether Jurgens is back to himself or not, but this was definitely a very good sign. And also, same goes for Landon Dickerson, as he was also basically running around out there crippled last year, but during minicamp, all reports are saying that Dickerson appears to be much, much healthier, as not only is he wearing no braces or sleeves, but multiple reporters took note of the fact that he looks much more mobile and is moving a lot better than he was last year. So overall, Eagles minicamp has given us some great news on the health of the offensive line, which, like I talked about in my last video, that is going to be absolutely crucial in determining the success of this season. And it's also worth noting that everybody along the offensive line, whether it be Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson, or Jordan Mailata, all seem to be very excited about the new changes to the offense, the new offensive line coach Chris Cooper, and the new wide zone blocking running game. And that's a running game which, by the way, has already seen some big holes open up during minicamp practice. So definitely excited to see what this new run game looks like. And also, speaking of the running backs and offensive changes, it seems like one change that we are going to see is the backs being used much more heavily in the passing game. As not only have we gotten a good amount of footage of Hurts throwing to Barkley and the other backs in drills, but we also had Brandon Lee Gowton say earlier this week, quote, "Feel like Jalen Hurts has thrown to Saquon Barkley a good amount this spring, more than he normally does." And we also had a play in OTAs where Hurts hit Barkley for a deep touchdown up the seam on a wheel route, which again, like I've talked about this, but a lot of the times in this Shanahan-McVay kind of scheme, running backs tend to be a bigger part of the passing game, and Saquon even reached out to Todd Gurley earlier this offseason to help him with this transition to a new offense, which again, Gurley was a great receiving back in his prime, so all signs are pointing to more Barkley targets this year, and I'm really fascinated to see how that looks. Also, sticking with the running backs, one of the Birds' biggest standouts from this entire spring period has got to be running back number 2, Tank Bigsby, who, like I've talked about in previous videos, he's become a true fan favorite here in Philadelphia, and every time he touched the ball last season, it seemed like something good happened. But now, based on what we've seen this offseason, it seems like Tank is about to take it to the next level, as reporters have noted that Bigsby looks a little faster this offseason. They've said he looks a lot more explosive than before, which that's saying something because Bigsby already has an explosiveness to his game where once he gets downhill, like he's moving fast and it's very tough to bring him down. Plus on top of that, we've got several videos of Bigsby out there on Wednesday running routes and catching passes from Jalen Hurts. And yeah, that explosiveness is definitely on full display, and he even had a one-handed catch at one point. So again, safe to say, Bigsby has been really impressive this offseason, and I think there's no question that Sean Mannion needs to find a way to use him more. I mean, Brandon Lee Gowton said it here, quote, "Tank Bigsby clearly has juice with the ball in his hands. Would be a shame if the Eagles don't get him more involved this season." Plus, on top of that, we also talked not too long ago about how Bigsby's one-cut style is a perfect fit into Sean Mannion's new offense and revamped running game. So, again, definitely hoping for more Tank touches this year, because he's a real weapon, and his skill set needs to be taken advantage of. Sticking with the offense, though, it's also been really exciting to see Jalen Hurts beginning to adapt to these new changes in this brand new scheme, and yes, things are very much still a work in progress, but just seeing him out there in some of these practice clips, taking snaps under center, working on play action and rollouts, like, it's got me dreaming not only about what this new offense is going to look like, but also about what it's going to do for Jalen and his game and his evolution. I mean, he's had to adapt to change, obviously, every single year, but this scheme switch is the biggest change he's ever had to deal with, and it seems like his entire play style is about to look completely different in 2026. I mean, look at some of these videos, for example. People are pointing out that this rollout and throwing motion looks a little bit reminiscent of prime Aaron Rodgers, which, yes, it is a drill during minicamp in June. Not saying that these videos mean that Jalen's going to have an MVP Rodgers type of season, but it does show you kind of the type of thing that we can expect to see in this new offense, and I'm just so fired up about that. And I've said, like, if Hurts gets comfortable in this new scheme, it's going to unlock him even more and take his game to the next level. Now, again, we're still very, very early on, but it seems like Jalen Hurts is adjusting well, and he's excited about all the changes.
Jalen, how do you think the spring's going for you?
Thought it was a really good spring. Being able to onboard another new system and put everything together, lay the foundation. So, I'm encouraged by that. I'm encouraged by the work that we were able to put in. We've got a fun summer ahead of us, and it'll be a fun training camp, being able to get back on the grass.
Do you feel a lot more comfortable in the system now than, obviously when you were first
now that you have some reps and everything?
Yeah, the comfort comes with the repetition. The comfort comes with the teaching and the time on task.
Sounds like it has been a great spring for Hurts and the Eagles offense, even if they still have a lot of work to do and there's growing pains there. At the end of the day, the potential's there, the foundation's being built. Now they just got to master it in camp and during the season. And part of that foundation is the new guys coming in and just building chemistry, and it seems like that's exactly what's happened for new wide receiver Dontayvion Wicks with Jalen Hurts.
How have you been working with Jalen Hurts so far? How's it been?
It's been fun. Me and Jay Hurts talk a lot since I've been here. Just trying to get that chemistry right, with us, because how big and what's at stake. So, it's been fun. It's been fun to, do things with them, getting together, even outside of here. It's always good to have a relationship with your QB, and he one of those guys that want to talk to us, as receivers in different positions. So, I love that.
It's funny how these comments from Wicks directly contradict the article that dropped about Hurts way earlier in the offseason, basically saying he's a bad teammate, he's very closed off, etc., etc. But real ones know that that article is a bunch of garbage, and if you've been paying attention to Hurts all offseason, you can just tell that he's in great spirits, he's happy, and he's very excited about this new direction that the offense is going in. Oh, and by the way, Jalen was also asked about this article when he spoke to the media as well, and basically, he said he didn't really care to respond to it, but he also made it clear that he's always open to making changes, which we know that, and he also said that he did not ask for that 4 verts play that ended the season against the 49ers.
What are you laughing at me for?
You can fool yourself and everyone else, but you can't fool me.
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't think you fooled anybody, Kevin Patullo, maybe besides the national media, but it's at least great to hear Hurts officially say it. And also, since we just went through a clip of Wicks talking about Jalen Hurts, it's also worth noting that Hurts had his best throw of the spring to Tay on Wednesday, as he dropped it right into Wicks' hands over the outstretched fingertips of Cooper DeJean for about a 15 to 20 yard gain. Plus, Wicks also had some noteworthy comments about his connection to Sean Mannion and new tight end coach and run game coordinator Ryan Maffey, as he knows that both of those guys and his connection to them are a huge reason why he's here in Philadelphia, and he also said that he's a big fan of this style of offense. He had fun playing in it in Green Bay, but he said that he's even learning new things as they continue to implement this new offense that he didn't do when he was in Green Bay. So overall, just really excited about all of it and excited to see what kind of role Wicks has in this whole thing. Speaking of which, with Smitty and Lemon out of practice on Wednesday, Wicks was wide receiver 1, while the starting unit consisted of Wicks, Hollywood Brown, and Elijah Moore, which I wanted to point out because it just shows you how deep this wide receiver room is to be missing their top 2 guys and still have a group that looks like that. Like, it's definitely exciting. Also, one other note, Tanner McKee was the QB2 in front of Andy Dalton for the first time this spring with media members in attendance, and he outperformed the veteran as per usual, with Dalton throwing a pick to Ambry Thomas. So, again, I still don't understand why this is a competition. Nick Sirianni says that they're not going to make any decisions there, which I think is silly. I think McKee is clearly the better option, but again, definitely worth noting. Overall, though, it was definitely a super eventful minicamp for the Eagles. The defense definitely got the better of the offense consistently, which is to be expected because, again, the offense is still implementing things. They're still laying the foundation there, but, that's only going to grow as we get into training camp and the regular season. I'm still very confident in the offense that they're going to be able to figure it out. Obviously, again, very, very early on here, so very excited to see, how that progresses. And, these videos covering OTAs and minicamp have tended to be really, really long, but there's still a bunch of other stuff that I haven't really gotten to talk about yet, or I haven't really gotten to dive deep into that I want to talk about here. So I got some stuff planned. If you guys don't want to miss any of it, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Again, we still got plenty of content coming within the next few weeks and months, and then obviously training camp is right around the corner at this point. So if you guys don't want to miss anything, subscribe, turn on notifications, also drop a like down below to show some support. It really does help me out a ton. Let's see if we get to at least 500 likes today. Also, hit the hype button because that helps me out a ton as well, and leave a comment just regarding, anything that I talked about in this video. What is your biggest takeaway from Eagles minicamp? Again, just let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you do want to watch another video diving deep into the Eagles' first practice in minicamp, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.